Hell's Kitchen, a neighborhood teeming with life, had always possessed an air of mystery. But within the walls of a seemingly ordinary apartment building, an unspeakable horror awaited. Little did its residents know that their worst nightmares were about to be realized, a nightmare in the form of killer rats. I had recently moved into the building, drawn to its affordable rent and convenient location. It didn't take long for the strange occurrences to begin. Unsettling scratching sounds filled the walls, growing louder as the night wore on. But I dismissed it as the creaks and groans of an old building, unaware of the terror that lay hidden within. One evening, while I was engrossed in a book, I caught a glimpse of something darting across the floor, a blur of fur and teeth. I dismissed it as a figment of my imagination, my mind playing tricks on me. But as the sightings continued, my certainty wavered. It was during the dead of night that the true horror emerged. I awoke to a cacophony of scurrying and squeaking, an army of rats swarming the building, their beady eyes glinting with malice. They scurried through the halls, their sharp teeth gnashing, leaving destruction in their wake. Fear coursed through my veins as I realized the extent of the infestation. The rats had grown bold, no longer content with hidden corners and dark crevices. They now sought human prey. Panic spread among the residents as the relentless vermin invaded their apartments, clawing and biting with frenzied abandon. Those who were caught off guard fought desperately to protect themselves, but the rats were relentless. Blood-curdling screams echoed through the building as neighbors fell victim to the ravenous horde. The hallways became a battlefield, a macabre symphony of human anguish and rodent aggression. In a desperate attempt to escape the carnage, I joined a small group of survivors, armed with makeshift weapons. We navigated the dimly lit corridors, the air thick with the stench of death and decay. The building had become a labyrinth of terror, each turn revealing another swarm of frenzied rodents. As we pressed forward, our numbers dwindled. The rats were cunning, attacking from every angle, overwhelming us with their sheer numbers. Each encounter left us more battered and traumatized, our hopes for survival hanging by a thread. But amidst the chaos, a glimmer of hope emerged, a potential escape. We discovered a maintenance shaft, a narrow passage leading to the building's basement. It was a treacherous route, crawling through cramped spaces, but the promise of freedom spurred us onward. As we descended into the bowels of the building, the rat infestation only intensified. Their chittering grew louder, their presence suffocating. It felt as if the walls themselves were alive, pulsating with the malevolence of the vermin. The path ahead was treacherous, littered with rat carcasses and remnants of their relentless assault. Finally, we emerged into the basement, a dimly lit, damp space filled with the eerie silence of the rat's absence. Relief washed over us as we ventured towards the exit, the taste of freedom almost within our grasp. But our elation was short-lived. In the darkness, the rats had orchestrated a trap of their own. They swarmed from the shadows, a tidal wave of fur and fury. Panic consumed us as we fought for our lives, swinging our weapons in a desperate attempt to keep the relentless onslaught at bay. One by one, my companions fell, overwhelmed by the unyielding assault. I was the last one standing, a lone survivor in a battle I could not win. The rats closed in, their vicious bites tearing through flesh, their hungry squeals echoing in my ears. As darkness claimed me, I realized the true horror of the building. A breeding ground for evil, a domain ruled by the merciless rats. Their hunger knew no bounds, their insatiable lust for flesh forever etched into my final moments. And so, dear reader, I share this cautionary tale of the apartment building in Hell's Kitchen, a place where nightmares come to life. Beware the hidden horrors that lurk within the walls, for sometimes the deadliest monsters are the ones we least expect, ferocious, bloodthirsty rats. The flames roared mercilessly, devouring the old hotel in Nashville, Tennessee. As a seasoned fireman, I led my crew into the heart of the inferno, determined to extinguish the fire and save any lives trapped within. Little did I know that this would be the most terrifying night of my life. The grandeur of the hotel was now reduced to a nightmarish scene. Thick smoke billowed through the halls, obscuring our vision and choking our lungs. The crackling of burning timber echoed, drowning out the frantic shouts of my crewmates. Fear gnawed at my gut, but I pushed forward, the weight of responsibility urging me on. As we advanced deeper into the building, an eerie silence fell upon us. The heat intensified, oppressive and suffocating. The air seemed to ripple with a malevolent energy, whispering secrets we were not meant to hear. Unease settled upon us, but we pressed on, our determination overpowering our growing unease. Suddenly, a gut-wrenching scream pierced the silence. We followed the sound, our senses on high alert. The anguished cry led us to a dimly lit corridor, where a flickering emergency light cast eerie shadows on the walls. The source of the scream stood before us, a terrified hotel guest trapped behind a wall of flames. Without hesitation, we deployed our hoses and fought against the inferno. The heat licked at our bodies, threatening to consume us, but we persisted. Inch by inch, we pushed back the flames, creating a path to safety for the trapped guest. Just as we reached them, a chilling gust of wind swept through the corridor, extinguishing the flames before our eyes. Confusion settled upon us, but relief washed over the rescued guest. They thanked us profusely, then hurriedly made their way towards the exit. We exchanged puzzled glances, unsure of what had just occurred. But duty called, and we continued our mission to tame the fire that still raged throughout the hotel. As we ascended the staircase to reach the upper floors, an inexplicable dread clung to us. Each step seemed heavier, as if an invisible force sought to hold us back. The air grew dense, charged with an otherworldly energy. It was as if the hotel itself was fighting against our presence, unwilling to relinquish its secrets. Upon reaching the upper levels, we discovered a hidden door, partially ajar. The flickering light of the flames danced upon its cracked surface, enticing us to enter. Against our better judgment, we pushed the door open and stepped into the unknown. The room beyond was unlike anything we could have imagined. Dust-covered furniture lined the walls, frozen in time. The air was stale and heavy, as if the room had been abandoned for centuries. An unsettling stillness hung in the air, broken only by the crackling of the fire below. But the most disturbing sight awaited us. A row of charred beds, their twisted metal frames testaments to the fury of the flames. Dread consumed us as we realized that this was the place where tragedy had struck. Whispers filled the room, disembodied voices that carried tales of horror and despair. With growing trepidation, we pressed on, navigating the labyrinthine corridors of the haunted hotel. Each room we entered revealed more twisted remnants of a tragic past. Shadows seemed to dance along the walls, mocking our presence. And with every step, the sense of being watched grew stronger, sending shivers down our spines. Just as we contemplated retreating, a blood-curdling scream echoed through the building. It was not the cry of a victim, but a cry of pure anguish, a cry that chilled us to our core. We followed the sound, our hearts pounding in our chests. The scream led us to a room engulfed in flames, the fire spiraling out of control. But what we saw within was beyond comprehension. A figure, charred and twisted, standing amidst the inferno. Its eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, filled with a burning hatred that pierced our souls. Frozen with fear, we watched as the figure moved towards us, its steps defying the laws of nature. It emanated an aura of pure malevolence, drawing strength from the fire that consumed the hotel. We turned to flee, but the exit seemed impossibly far. In a desperate attempt to survive, we unleashed a torrent of water upon the apparition, but it seemed to feed on our efforts, growing stronger with every drop. The fire roared in defiance, threatening to consume us all. Just as hope faded, the building began to tremble. The walls groaned, and the ceiling cracked above us. In an instant, the flames were extinguished, swallowed by a wave of darkness. We stumbled out of the hotel, gasping for breath, as the structure crumbled behind us. As we watched the once grand hotel collapse, we knew we had witnessed something beyond explanation. We had fought not only a physical fire, but a supernatural force that clung to the charred remains. I couldn't shake off the feeling of unease as I stepped into the old, decrepit mansion. Its walls stood tall and imposing, casting eerie shadows that seemed to dance in the flickering candlelight. I was drawn to this place, despite its reputation for being haunted. Curiosity, they say, can be a dangerous thing. The air grew heavy, as if the house itself was breathing, whispering secrets that only the darkness could hear. I hesitated for a moment, contemplating whether to turn back or proceed. But my fascination took hold, compelling me to explore its haunted halls. I made my way through the dimly lit corridor, the creaking floorboards echoing through the stillness of the night. The walls were adorned with faded portraits, their subjects staring blankly with hollow eyes. Each step I took felt like an intrusion into the realm of the unknown, an invitation to something beyond comprehension. The sound of distant laughter reached my ears, faint and chilling. It seemed to come from the upper floors, beckoning me to climb the decaying staircase. With trembling legs I ascended, my heart pounding in my chest. Shadows danced along the walls, twisting and contorting in macabre patterns that sent shivers down my spine. As I reached the top, a door stood ajar, its darkness contrasting against the pale moonlight that filtered through the cracked window panes. An inexplicable force pulled me towards it, drawing me closer with every step. With trembling hands I pushed the door open, revealing a room filled with forgotten toys and broken furniture. But it was the mirror that caught my attention. A large, ornate mirror that seemed out of place amidst the dilapidated surroundings. Its surface was tarnished, reflecting a distorted image of myself, as if mocking my presence in this unholy place. I approached cautiously, unable to tear my gaze away from the warped reflection. Suddenly, the laughter echoed through the room, growing louder and more menacing. Panic gripped my heart as I realized I was no longer alone. Whispers filled the air, insidious voices that seemed to seep into my very soul. I tried to flee, but an invisible force held me captive, trapping me within this haunted room. The toys came to life, their once innocent forms contorting into grotesque caricatures. Dolls with cracked porcelain faces scuttled across the floor, their broken limbs moving in unnatural ways. The laughter grew louder, more sinister, as the room transformed into a nightmarish carnival of terror. Desperation consumed me as I struggled against the invisible shackles that held me. But the more I fought, the tighter they gripped, draining my strength and resolve. Tears streamed down my face as I realized that I was trapped, destined to become another forgotten victim of this malevolent place. Then, a voice whispered in my ear, chilling me to the bone. "Welcome to your eternal nightmare," it hissed, its words crawling with venom. The mirror shattered into 1,000 shards, releasing a dark energy that engulfed the room. The toys lunged at me, their twisted forms tearing at my flesh as I screamed in agony. Time lost all meaning as the horrors continued their assault, my mind teetering on the edge of madness. In the depths of despair, a final realization washed over me. The mansion had claimed yet another victim, forever adding to its collection of tormented souls. And as the darkness consumed me, my screams silenced by the eternal night, I became one with the house, a mere echo of the terror that had befallen me. The haunted mansion stood tall, its walls holding the weight of countless nightmares, waiting for the next curious soul to dare to step inside and fall victim to its insatiable hunger for fear.